We would now like to welcome to the stage a woman who has an extraordinary background, but she has blazed her own path in the world to do amazing work. As a budding researcher in molecular genetics, she went from the University of London on to the Harvard Medical School, where she did important research in tuberous sclerosis-related cancer, research that led to therapeutics that helped to improve people's lives. This doctor and researcher left the world of medical research in 2007 to become an institution builder. And she has created and helped to build institutions that have helped women to get into scientific fields, that have helped to raise funds for people suffering from rare genetic disorders. She has gone on to help with initiatives that bring together the worlds of science and diplomacy, so that institution building can be expanded yet again. And today, she joined us on stage at the World Business Angel Investment Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a very warm welcome for Her Royal Highness, Princess Dr. Nisreen Al-Hashemite. Please.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for the welcome and the warm welcome, and a very good morning to you. Well, at the beginning, I would like to thank Mr. Baibers Al-Tontash for the generous invitation and giving me the opportunity to stand among many of the visionary and influential minds. Makes this an invitation that I shall long appreciate. I also would like to thank my dear friend, Ms. Denise Meeser, for introducing the World Business Angels Forum to me. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to commend Mr. Baibers' work, the principles of the World Business Angels Forums, the excellence, great work, integrity, leadership, teamwork, to all the friends and colleagues at the World Business Angels Forum management team. Thank you very much for the hard work that speaks about itself. Well, I am pleased to represent the Royal Academy of Science International Trust, here and after in short RASET, and its vision and work in this conference, hoping that through my scientific vision, I will be able to bridge the world, like the city of Istanbul, your world with my world. And honestly speaking, I have a problem with this, so I'm going to move it like that. When I received the invitation, what came to my mind is what on earth I will be talking about for a substantial wealth holders and investors. They are business people. Many of them are investors, and many others are tremendously rich people looking for new business opportunities to make profit. They are business-oriented, and sitting in a meeting means that they are gathering to discuss strategic issues around services and investment. Thus, either to establish a new business or to find a way to make more profit. After all, time is money, or so they say. Since I received the invitation, I was searching for a common ground between me and the participants in this important event. I also was trying to find subject to talk about. Should my speech be about the regular United Nations, Sustainable Development Goals, or the 2030 Agenda, the role of private sector, etc., etc., or shall I talk about the corporate social responsibilities and funding this project? Finally, yesterday, after eating Adana kebab with a dear friend, I found the common ground. You are running a substantial profit-making corporate, and I run a substantial non-profit-making corporate. Both of us, we are serving a humanity. So now, the main thing, we both have common grounds in serving a humanity. But what are these common grounds and where we can both meet to create real change? I will start by creating a real change in the way of my speech. I took my speech from several questions I was asked by several journalists throughout the last 3 weeks. And I will start by asking the question and what was my answer. Why did you study medicine and then a PhD? And did you face any obstacle in science because you are a woman? Well, I have allergy to pets. I love playing with cats and dogs, but I have allergy. When I have allergy reaction, my parents will take me to hospital for injections. I used to love the smile of my doctor who used to give me Kit Kat. So I loved being a doctor. So since I was little girl, I always wanted to be a medical doctor to draw a smile on people's faces. My situation is quite different than any other woman. My main obstacle is my title, the HRH Princess. And the journalist said, "Oh, how is that?" Well, when I applied for medical schools, I have been faced by many objections from deans and professors. Medicine is not for royalty. Try to find another college. In medicine, no one will work for you. There is no royal protocol in medicine. It's better for your family name and your prestige to find another college. With the love and support I received from my parents and brothers, I managed to come over the obstacles of the royal title and graduated with a medical doctorate and became the first royal princess doctor. Well, in medicine, we rely on the laboratory results to diagnose a case and then write a prescription. But there are so many cases that we cannot treat or even prevent. That is, so many unanswered questions. Therefore, I decided to go into research and do my PhD in genetics. As always, I faced the same obstacles at the beginning because of my title. My mother, Sharifa Fatima al-Hashemite, sponsored my PhD studies and research, and I graduated with a PhD from University College London, a book that I authored, and 12 original investigation research papers published. Then, on 1st of August, 1997, I started my first job at Hammersmith Hospital, thanks to Lord Winston, who believed in me as a doctor and scientist. And my salary at that time was almost £2,000. Imagine a royal princess employee with almost £2,000. I hardly managed to live. Then, in 2000, I received an offer from Harvard Medical School and started a new journey in scientific achievements, living on an annual salary after paying Uncle Sam taxes of $36,000 US, which was enough for paying the rent, bills, and the gas for my car that takes me from Boston to New Jersey to visit my family. And thanks to my 911, I mean my brothers, who always answer my 911 calls if I want to shop from Bloomingdale or Nordstrom, imagine, not Chanel or Dior or these brands. Okay, so Princess, why did you leave medicine and science? Well, I always wanted to establish my own legacy. In medicine and science, a legacy that is a bit far from my title, politics, and Razet. However, during my studies and work, so many things happened in the world that influenced my way of thinking and destiny. For example, the high rate of cancer due to the usage of depleted uranium weapons. Too much hate was all around the world at that time. Too many differences between people. No recognition for teachers. Private schools and education became like a fashion, taking the rights of younger generations of equal education. Even in science and other fields, no parity. In addition to all of that, politics is surrounding me even in medicine and science. We have to understand what politicians are thinking about and what they are doing in order to plan our work in the laboratory, when applying for a grant or when proposing a new method of prevention or treatment. Another higher level of politics is the regional and global. Regional like the Commonwealth and the EU, and the global like the UN and its agencies. In the year 2000, the UN established its Millennium Development Goals. that were designed with 8 goals for developing and least developed countries. At that time, I was really surprised at the UN agenda. Why is ending poverty, education for all, achieving gender equality, ensure environmental sustainability, combat HIV, malaria, and infectious diseases, global partnership for development are only for developing countries? What about developed countries? There are huge areas of poverty in the United States, France, UK. The illiteracy rate is almost 3% in USA. HIV and other infectious diseases are everywhere. What about environment? What about gender equality in developed countries? In fact, in most developing countries, there is gender equality, if I'm talking about the gender pay, while in many developed countries like USA and UK, there is no gender equality. Further, a new style of civil society work has been designed. Corporate social responsibilities, corporate and celebrities foundations, new charities or organization has been established. The questions raised here, who decides what for people? Why has the agony of people increased worldwide? Poverty rate is increasing dramatically, and at the same time, the number of wealth is increasing day after day. In the year 2001, it was the tragedy of September 11, when it became the start of the death of peace around the world. 2003, the Anglo-American invasion on Iraq, which happened, which resulted in civil war and destruction of a country and a nation, with more usage of depleted uranium. And since that time, war became dissolution, lack of leadership, and so on. With all of that, the economy is not stable. The level of scientific research funding decreased, unemployment rate increased, national health services in decline, number of refugees and displaced people is at highest rate, and so on. The problems are increasing day after another because our voices are not heard. The voices of professionals, women and men in science, youth and children. Our fate is decided by politicians and the most forward-thinking companies on the planet who are running even intergovernmental organizations and planning its agendas, ignoring people needs. Decisions are made without proper studies and decision makers planning and taking their decisions while in offices. In fact, they are not on the ground, or maybe they forgot how to be on the ground. To be the voice of the unheard people, I accepted Razzet's offer in 2007 to become its executive director. And here I am, back to my beginning, to our family office, or let's say to our family corporate, with a great public as well as scientific and professional experience and vision. A new journey started with Razet introducing a new style of management while respecting the traditions and values of Razet. Dealing with older generations was and still remains a challenge, but with the gift of communication skills, I'm learning from older generations and at the same time doing things with modern style to implement programs. More importantly is introducing new programs and much more work at the level of international community, mainly with the United Nations and policymakers and partners. Oh, Princess, and because of that you started intergeneration dialogue, am I right? Yes, indeed. Then the other question came to me is about what was the urgent need that you pushed to declare a day of the year to celebrate women and girls in science? That was a really interesting question, particularly when it comes from a woman. Well, for more than 25 years, the UN and its agency has drawn attention of international community to the serious gender gap that affects science to the point where it has become a priority of many countries and international political institutions to close it. Yet the advancement of women and girls in science hasn't merely stalled. The gap between men and women in science has indeed begun to widen. The question to ask first, why? Why the percentage of women in STEM remains under 30, or nowadays they say women researchers. Why do girls and young women do not choose science as a career? Why women are leaving science? why women in science experts are not chosen to speak at high-level events, join international decision-making bodies, or to deal with policy formulation. These are all the questions that we need to ask. The data presented in all reports are vitally important. However, it often lacks cultural and sociological aspects and analysis, and do not provide plans and programs of action to resolve the inequality in science and technology. In addition, the indirect psychological impact of having the gender inequality in science for many years has contributed to women feeling inferior and not equal, accepting inequality situation to keep their jobs, and not taking the lead to resolve the issues related to their present situation and future. Therefore, it has become more important than ever to reverse this trend, recognizing the rightful role of women in science, both as change agents and recipients of support in science is vital if we are really keen to achieve the UN 2030 Agenda and its 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Can we afford another 25 years or more of more reports without doing anything? Yes, there is an urgent need. We are doing it for girls, so they will have a better future, and they will not live the inequality that I lived when my male colleague was paid more than me, because he's a male and I am a female. I'm gonna skip because a bit. Why February 11? What does it mean? Let's start by what does February 11 mean? As you may know, I graduated with my 4th degree, the PhD from University College London, which was founded on 11 February 1826. Then I said to the lady, you know, I love this quote, to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Oh, sorry, princess, sorry to interrupt you, but your words are so powerful. These are not my words. Oh, really? Yes. On February 11, 1990, a great freedom fighter was released after 27 years of imprisonment. This man was imprisoned because he called for equality, and he spoke for you, me, and the world to live in peace and dignity. This is Nelson Mandela, and the quotes are for him. And also, what a great coincidence to have the freedom of Nelson Mandela, February 11, is the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. And it is the title as well of a book series that highlights the first book to highlight an international day observed by United Nations to highlight or to feature women in science as agents for socio-economic development, and to feature as well the first book, girls who are under the age of 18, as authors of chapters. Well, back to your question, why February 11? Enabling us to discuss many existing problems, issues facing the societies today, and then to determine in this sustainable solutions, actions, policies, and programs to overcome these problems and issues. We need to recognize the role of women in science in sustainable development process. Such recognition should be through acknowledging the accomplishments and the achievements of women in science. Oh, Princess, you did not answer the question. No, I did not. Read the book and you will know the story of February 11, how much efforts we put on UNGA Resolution 70/212, and why we need women in science for socio-economic sustainable development, as simple as that. The book, I'm so honored that the first signing of the book will be at World Business Angels Forum, and thanks to Bibers Bay for this opportunity to share with you this book and to be our voice, the women and girls in science. Why, when you talk, you say science, not STEM or STEAM? Well, let me start first by raising a question. How could the global approach be improved through commitment to transformational 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda consistent with the vision and values of each country? The challenges facing the world's countries, its prosperity and economy, creativity, exchanges, equity, and opportunities will be met only if we deploy social science knowledge and the skills and methods of inquiry ever more intensively. To thrive, we must innovate. In innovation, we must merge progress in technology and the physical and life sciences with the insight from studying behavior, place, economics, and society. To exploit the vastness of big data emerging from the social media, the biosphere, health, and public administration, it is necessary to collaborate across the disciplines. But it shouldn't be forgotten that the advancing and applying science also depends on profits, policies, markets, organizations, and attitude. These are social sciences themes, and this is why we need women and men in science, thus deploying and all the sciences, whole of society, approach great problems, whether we call them challenges or opportunities lie ahead. The challenges of the world will demand evidence and insight from social sciences, working in new ways with colleagues from natural sciences and life sciences, engineering, arts, and the humanities. So please, please, remove that the artificial barrier between sciences. We need you as medical doctors, physicists, chemists, etc. We need you, and you need us more. What did you achieve on the 5th International Day of Women and Girls in Science Assembly? Well, as you may know, we celebrated the 5th International Day just last week on 11th of February. And the biggest achievement is the first political declaration endorsed by member states. And the declaration, I'm so grateful for the member states and the governments that they are recognizing the role of RASET and as in facilitating the resolution 70/212 and as the main coordinator for the commemoration of the International Day. And also they recognized, if I may, they recognize the to invest in enabling disabled women and girls in science as agents and beneficiaries of sustainable development programs. They also recognize the member states welcoming the Capital for Women and Girls in Science, a global fund initiative of the Royal Academy of Science International Trust to ensure implementation of this declaration. And they are encouraging member states, intergovernmental organizations, private sector, philanthropists, and foundations to voluntarily contribute to the fund, the Capital for Women and Girls in Science. I am not an entrepreneur like you. I don't work for profit. I don't have Bibers Altontash to give me the opportunity as nonprofit making to stand up and ask for funding to improve the lives of women and girls in science, to reduce inequality between societies and communities, and also to support proper education programs. However, here I am Mr. Alton Tash gave me this opportunity to speak to you, and I very much hope you will join us in contributing. Even if it is $1, it makes a change. It's not the amount as much as it is the goodwill. A question. Princess, why do you wear jeans and sometimes in official meetings? I am a geneticist. I work on genes. And so many times I stuck in my lab, or sometimes I want to make a statement about genes, the DNA. So I wear jeans because I work on genes. So, and the importance of genetics, you can see from like coronavirus, because all these chemicals or these wastes, it's changing the genetics of any living organism. I spoke about depleted uranium weapons, that they change the genetics of any living organism, and that's why we see the cancers is in high rate, so many other diseases, etc. We see even like that in the plants and animals. Also, like pharmaceutical companies are dropping the pills and medications in the lakes and rivers. These are chemicals. It changes the genetics of living organisms in the lakes and rivers. The best example now, there are so many great studies about the Lake of Geneva. So I have to wear jeans to make business people aware of genes, the importance to focus on genetics, and to make as well, you know, like policymakers to consider genetics. Well, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I just would like to say our presence, the Royal Academy of Science International Trust was founded by my late father, Prince Mohammed bin King Faisal I al-Hashemite in 1968, who believed in equality, and he believed that science is equality. And I'm following his steps, I hope so, and we are writing every day the future's history by investing in people. I would like to leave you with some personal thoughts. As you may know, I'm direct descendant of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him, said, "Education and knowledge is the root of all noble, beneficial, and valuable work and act." I'm also descendant of Hazrat al-Imam Ali, and he said, "There is no greater wealth than education and wisdom, no greater poverty than ignorance, no greater heritage than culture." One of Rumi's quotes that I love very much is, "Woman is a ray of God. She is not that earthy beloved. She is creative, not created." The great Japanese writer and feminist Reiko Hiratsuka once famously wrote, "In the beginning, woman was truly the sun, an authentic person. Today, more than ever, the global strategies, the businesses, the health, education, development, economy, even humanitarian outreach needs precisely this kind of radiant sun to provide light and nourishment, to provide healing, to dry out the swamps of poverty and unrest." So I urge every one of you here, I urge all women and men of goodwill to dare and make the difference and believe in women in science. I promise you with this, and my word is my deed, you will never be disappointed, for when women in science shine like the sun, their radiance will be forever undimmed. We are no longer hidden figures, we are shining stars. And thank you very much for your attention.